Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we have a request. One of the people who subscribed to my channel asked me if I some tips about playing the 113, and funny enough, I was playing the 113 before the 9.6 came out, so I decided to download the older client, make a video about it. And yeah, basically in this one, I'll basically go over some of the techniques and tips that I use to play the 113. I average about 2600 damage in the 113. I think I'm about 88%, and I'm trying to get the 3rd star on the barrel, though that is somewhat hard since consistent games are somewhat difficult when you're playing by yourself. So on this map in particular, what I decide to do early on is that I look at the team composition and I decide, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go bully the mediums first, and because of the good speed of this tank, I'm gonna then try to relocate back with the heavies and try to help them as well. So initially that was my plan. Now how this map plays out is that the bottom flank in this case is the most important, where the heavies generally go, just because if you lose that completely, then the high ground is in the enemy's hand and they can do a lot of things with it. Now over here I decide to put a shot in the T-54 before he goes into cover, and then I go up and decide to help the T-54 tank some shots against the two tanks who are playing rather aggressively for being by themselves. Now over here I see the 113. I see he repairs his tracks. I aim for his tracks again and he gets tracked. Now this is one other problem that the 113 has that you should be careful about, is that 113 is a very long tank. If you come sideways out, you are probably going to expose most of your side. You're probably going to get ammo racked and it is not going to be fun. So the way to do is either to side script around a corner, or is just to come out rather quickly while pointing your tanks at a corner. Sort of like your inside drive wheels should be at the corner at all times, so as to not get tracked where you do not have shots on the enemy. So the enemy Centurion who was camping in the back pays as well. And now instead of like going over in this direction where most of our team is going, what I'm going to do is 113 is quite nimble for a heavy tank. So I decide what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and either come through the middle or, just circle all the way back into our base and help out our heavies with the heavies that are pushing into them. Just because if you see like onto the map for what little heavies that were spotted, they were really close, and even now if you see the little red dots are pretty close to our side, and our heavies have been pushed back to the only cliff in the middle. So what I decide to do is, instead of like going into the enemy base, I decide to come back. The other problem with like pushing into the enemy base from this corner is that they have really good hull down spots and they can like defend rather easily. So instead of like pushing into that, what I decide to do is go back and help out the heavies. And now you kind of like get to see like how this tank behaves when it's facing its heavies. One thing to note is that the armor on the 113 is fairly good, but you should avoid getting shot from something that's taller or or slightly higher above you, because its armor will be lessened and it won't be as effective. The effectiveness of the 113 comes from the fact that its armor is very acutely angled. It doesn't come from its actual thickness. Its actual thickness is rather really bad for comparison with like another heavy, like an E100. It's only 120 millimeters thick at the front, which is not that much, but it's sloped back around 60 to 67 degrees, which is really, really good. And so it gives it an effective armor thickness of about 250-ish. Now over here, I fire at the FV215B. I see him retreating. I angle myself a little and then go back so as to not give him an easy shot. Over here, I try to do the same, put another shot into the FV215B, but he backs off. Now, since I'm facing the FV215B, I know he has a really good aim time, so I rather not just sit in the open and give him an easy shot. I come around the corner to see if like anything's staring at me. The IS-7 is actually staring in my direction. and so I tried to take him out rather quickly. Now I see that the mouse in the front has pushed up. I angle my tracks again, bounce a shot, and I bounce off his turret because he started moving his turret just as I fired. So in essence, we both bounce, no harm, no foul done. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my first heat round into the mouse turret. At this point, I should have angled my tank slightly inwards so as to not give him my lower plate, but the mouse is distracted because our team sort of like pushed up, and so I decided to put another shot into the mouse, and you know, he now kind of like realized that, you know, he's gonna sort of like get shot from behind, so he turns his tank completely, giving me another easy shot in the side. And at this point, you know, I decide, you know, now is a good time to take on the IS-4. But this E100 shows me his side in the distance, and unfortunately all I got to do is bounce aside. So the IS-4 fires on me. I don't know whether I bounced or not in that instance. I don't care about the mouse that much. That time the IS-4 actually just hit my tracks and didn't manage to do any damage. Now I know that he's a one shot for me. I aim for his lower plate, and it's rather an easy kill for the 113. Now, after all being said and done, the only tank remaining is the last enemy E100, and I will get to maybe put one more shot into him and take him out. And that was one of the better games that I had in my 113 in recent times.